Now, Gal Gadot not only didn't want to be seen with Rachel and even exchanged some words with Zegler, Gal reportedly told Zegler herself that she never wants to be seen with Zegler again on live television.
She has this underlying anger and hatred in her that always has to take it like one step too far, essentially implying that it's wrong and backwards and it's not 1937, whatever. That was like her initial spree, and everyone was like, okay, do you want to be Snow White or do you hate Snow White? Do you want to destroy Snow White?
Audiences stayed away, and even her own cast and crew are calling her out. Disney's own CEO's son posted that she hijacked the film and then deleted it after it went viral. Oh, and that #1 movie in the world claim she made? Deleted.
Welcome back to Celebity. It's Olivia here. She called it empowering. Disney called it progressive. But Gal Gadot? She's calling it something else entirely, an embarrassment. Behind the scenes of Snow White, there was tension. On camera, it was magic. But now, with the movie flopping, backlash erupting, and fans turning on Disney, the truth is spilling out. Gal Gadot is done with Rachel Zegler. Before we peel back the layers of this wild unraveling, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. If you love deep dives with no fluff, just facts, receipts, and a sprinkle of chaos, you're in the right place. And trust me, you won't believe how this one plays out. Sources say she refused to share press tours, that she privately warned execs the tone was off, that she told Rachel, face to face, that she never wanted to be seen with her again on live TV. And the reason? It wasn't just the viral interviews, the feminism quotes, or the disrespect for the 1937 classic. It was how Rachel handled the fallout, mocking fans, clapping back on social media, and dragging the entire legacy of Snow White through the mud in the name of modernization. Now, Gal Gadot is officially distancing herself. And Disney, they might be next. Because this story isn't just about one box office bomb. It's about what happens when you hand a fairy tale to someone who wants to tear it down.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it, you have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job. These people, and this is the difference between a business owner or someone who does very well for themselves in the private sector to become wealthy. This person was born looking a certain way and has a God-given ability to lie for a living. That's really what acting is, to pretend. Right? Went over about $250 million to make the film before marketing.
Ugh.
They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be Disney's next billion-dollar reboot, a crown jewel in their ever-expanding empire of reimagined classics. But instead of casting nostalgia, they cast controversy. Rachel Zegler didn't just play Snow White, she redefined her. And not in the empowering, generation-defining way Disney had hoped. She mocked the original, called the prince weird, laughed at true love, rolled her eyes at fairy tales, and with every smug soundbite, she drew a line in the sand between herself and the fans. People weren't mad because the story changed. They were mad because the lead actress acted like she was too good for it. And here's where things went nuclear. Instead of apologizing, Rachel doubled down. She went on talk shows, said she deserved to be paid for every hour she wore the dress, accused critics of misogyny, claimed she wasn't interested in making anyone comfortable with her portrayal. Suddenly, Snow White wasn't a fairy tale anymore. It was a lecture. And while the internet boiled, Disney stayed quiet. But behind the scenes, the cast wasn't happy. Whispers started leaking. Gal Gadot wasn't doing joint interviews. Her promotional appearances were kept separate. Insiders said Gal pushed back on Zegler's tone and made it crystal clear to the studio, this isn't what I signed up for. And that's where the rift began. Subtle at first, but about to go public.
The fact that it's about the humanity and it's about nature as well, and it's a beautiful story about an amazing girl who wants to find the true self of hers.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. On the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures, doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years.
Gal Gadot is no stranger to controversy. She's navigated high-profile roles, press junkets, and the intensity of Hollywood scrutiny with grace. But insiders say that nothing prepared her for the chaos that came with being cast opposite Rachel Zegler in Snow White. At first, Gal played it cool. She showed up, smiled for the cameras, praised the project. But behind the scenes, she was deeply uncomfortable with where the narrative was going and how Rachel was torching the legacy they were supposed to be honoring. Sources close to the production claim Gal started raising red flags months before the backlash exploded. She was reportedly confused and disappointed by Rachel's repeated attacks on the original story, especially the way she mocked the concept of romance and downplayed the prince's role. Gal allegedly pulled her PR team aside and said, "This isn't what we agreed to promote." But it wasn't just about interviews. It was how Rachel handled the fallout. The arrogance, the dismissiveness, the clips that went viral for all the wrong reasons. Rachel wasn't just tanking the film's image, she was dragging the entire cast down with her. Gal finally hit her breaking point when, according to reports, Rachel blamed her upcoming Minecraft film for pulling attention away from Snow White. It was subtle, but shady. A strategic jab meant to deflect blame from herself. That's when Gal allegedly drew the line. "I'm not covering for her anymore," she told execs, "Don't book us together." From that moment on, the distance was official. No more joint appearances, no red carpet poses, no press tours with Rachel Zegler in tow. Just a quiet, decisive cut, and Gal making sure she was no longer tied to the fallout.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
Saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about
she's gonna die.
true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can.
Our rights are on the line, folks. Our reproductive rights.
Ugh.
Come on,
Okay, Cheshire Cat.
go vote blue. And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button.
The
Disney
original cartoon
does.
came out in 1937,
What a
and very
timeline.
evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we
what a
didn't do
shame.
that this time.
When Gal pulled back, it wasn't just a PR move, it was a signal. And Disney, they got the message. What was supposed to be a bold reimagining of a beloved classic had become a slow-motion car crash, and the studio was now knee-deep in crisis mode. The original vision was dead. The public response was hostile, and one of their most bankable stars, Gal Gadot, was quietly refusing to carry the weight. Executives scrambled. Internal emails started flying. One insider revealed that Disney's marketing team was blindsided by how fast things turned. They expected backlash from the usual corners, but not a full-on internet revolt. And Rachel, instead of calming the waters, she fanned the flames. She blamed the media. She blamed fans. She even hinted in an offhand comment that Gal's Minecraft filming schedule was partially responsible for the chaos surrounding Snow White. The implication? That Gal didn't support the rollout. That was it. Gal was done. Disney, now trying to salvage anything, began adjusting the press strategy. Rachel's interviews were quietly pulled. Her social media posts slowed to a trickle. Even her appearances at D23 and other Disney events were restructured, with Gal front and center and Rachel mysteriously absent. Rumors started swirling. Was Rachel getting recast in future projects? Was Snow White getting delayed again? Was the reboot going straight to Disney Plus to avoid further embarrassment? And maybe most telling of all, merchandise halted. Toys that were meant to launch with Rachel's likeness, quietly shelved. Promo deals canceled or reworked. It was a full retreat, not just from the film, but from Zegler herself. Disney isn't just scrubbing the damage, they're repositioning the entire brand.
You had Rachel Zegler on the docket too. I think actresses should be quiet.
That's how this thing works in the world. If you talk it's going to come back.
And it was acceptable for us to dream about being a princess as a woman and meeting a handsome prince. But oh no, these big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword. And I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
This time last year, Rachel Zegler was being hailed as the next big thing, a Spielberg favorite, Disney's new princess, the face of Gen Z feminism. Studios were lining up, PR firms were clapping, and every major platform was ready to crown her the future of Hollywood. Now, she's radioactive. Rachel didn't just lose the audience, she lost the industry's trust. And it wasn't because of one bad interview, it was the avalanche that followed. The smug tone, the repeated digs at the original Snow White, the refusal to read the room, the way she framed criticism as hate rather than listening, even for a second. Directors started second-guessing, brands started pulling out. And those shiny new movie deals, slipping through her fingers, her upcoming Hunger Games prequel, already facing whispers. Producers fear the backlash could spill over, not because the film's bad, but because she's in it. Audiences aren't excited, they're exhausted. She became less of a draw and more of a distraction. And that Minecraft comment, the one where she subtly blamed Gal Gadot's other film for the Snow White disaster, it backfired. Hard. Now, industry insiders are saying no one wants to stand next to Rachel Zegler. Not on press tours, not in interviews, not on set. Even agencies are allegedly treading lightly, unsure if the Zegler brand can be salvaged. She didn't just overstay her welcome, she set fire to the castle on the way out. And the irony? The very studio that handed her the keys to the kingdom is now racing to lock the gates.
This is Rachel Zegler, who Disney decided would be brilliant in casting because, as Rachel Zegler says, her millions of fans will line up no matter what she does.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
This path that I'm taking right now is the path that Rachel Zegler should have taken instead of just running her mouth for the last 3 years. God forbid a woman dream about true love. We're all just sitting around here, maybe I could be president one day. I hate men, I just want to be president. That screams Disney princess. Oh my God, I'm literally getting enraged. Once again, I feel like I'm back in 2022. Yeah, the entire film's about a love story. It's about a love story because that's what the point of the film is. And I'm sorry that chivalry in a man pursuing you is now deemed as stalking, which now it's kind of making sense why men are opting out of the dating scene, because this is what they are hearing.
The movie hasn't even hit theaters, and it already feels like it's been buried. What started as Disney's modern-day crown jewel is now a full-blown cautionary tale, a warning to studios about what happens when you give a legacy role to someone who sees it as a joke. And now, Snow White might become the reboot that never fully sees the light of day. Insiders say Disney is quietly exploring release alternatives, streaming first options, limited theatrical runs, even a soft rollout with no major premiere, because they know the second this film goes wide, the memes will come, the commentary will spike, and the backlash, inevitable. And Rachel Zegler? She's gone radio silent. No interviews, no TikToks, no podcast spots. Her team's allegedly hitting pause across the board. PR firms are calling it a cooling off period. But let's be honest, this isn't a break. It's an emergency reset. Because in an industry built on timing, perception, and grace under fire, Rachel tripped at every turn. She didn't just lose a role. She might have lost her future. And Gal Gadot? She's already moved on, repositioning, rebuilding, playing the long game, far from the drama. Her silence isn't a retreat, it's a power move. A quiet way of saying, I told you so. So here we are, a burned out brand, a fractured cast, a billion-dollar studio holding a product they're too scared to release. And the girl who was supposed to redefine Disney princesses? She rewrote the story all right, into a tragedy. Now it's your turn. Do you think Rachel Zegler deserves a comeback? Should Snow White be shelved, reworked, or released as is? Or is this the final proof that not every fairy tale needs a remake? Now, drop your take in the comments.